Actually, this is the first time I tried this new approach of teaching, flipped classroom. Previously, I don't have any experience in doing things related or similar to that. Actually, the course I teach is a bit a mix of technical and managerial topics. And from my experience, students tend to have more difficulties in understanding and mastering the technical concepts of the course, and part of it is about learning how to offer a website, web offering. And so I choose this one as a test point for the flipped classroom approach because this topic actually has a lot of requirement of doing hands-on things and learning practical skills that can help them to offer a website. And so I think that it is very suitable for a flipped classroom approach because then they can have extra materials and also can have better control of their learning pace in terms of mastering those technical skills which are quite unfamiliar to them actually. Try to think about how to better help the students to learn better with this new flipped classroom approach, and having sort of review and also think back about how they learned this topic in the past. It seems to me that they need a lot of out of classroom time with me in order to overcome the difficulties in understanding these technical concepts and mastering these technical skills. And they seem to need a lot of practice chances out of classroom and also tends to need a lot of personal guidance actually. And so thinking about that, understanding about their needs, so I use flipped classroom approach to create a website where they can find self-learning materials to help them to learn about the techniques, the concept, and also that I will provide this website, this online material before the class and also after the class, so that they can learn under their own pace and also be better prepared before the class so that they can use the in-classroom time to refine their skill, to overcome their difficulties, and have a more efficient and effective interaction with me. Flipped classroom approach has enhanced their learning experience. First, very interestingly, as I mentioned before I use this flipped classroom approach, they tend to, try to find me a lot out of classroom and ask a lot of actually pretty basic question about how to use the web offering tool. But after this flipped classroom approach, they interact a lot more with me in the classroom. And also it seems that they don't need that much out of classroom time now to ask further. I think as I have discussed with some of the students, now they have the materials online and they can do a lot of self-learning after the class, and also they are better prepared, and therefore during the classroom time they can make use of this high quality, I think, interaction time with me to overcome their own difficulties, which I think is a very important feature of flipped classroom approach, because different students, they have different difficulties and they need different kinds of help. And it is very important for them to identify their difficulties before the class so that I can better help them. Actually, before the flipped classroom approach, it is more like a tutorial, laboratory tutorial on learning some real technical skill, web offering software application. But with flipped classroom, I have much more time to observe individually how students are doing. And also there is a lot more time for us to interact and for me to learn about their difficulties and for them to tell me what happened, and also their ability to tell me what are the difficulties, specific difficulties, is much improved. They know much better what they are doing. So instead of being a more well, not one way, I would say a not very interactive laboratory tutorial. Now it become a very interactive action of learning some hands-on skills and improving their learning of this technical subject. Actually, the third thing is I think that, as I mentioned, a better flow of the control of doing the p-test and the post-test is needed. Because students are so excited about this new learning approach, and they just sometimes cannot listen carefully about this kind of instruction. And the second thing is about the visualization, real-time visualization of the response, which will help the teacher to have a better grasp of what is happening in the classroom when they are doing the pre-test and post-test. And also, if we can have real-time access of the post-test information, that will provide much quicker feedback to the teacher and also to the student, actually. That will be useful to both parties. And also the design of the learning material. Actually, this time I try to do in a more traditional way, the online multimedia learning material about a software application. But in fact, I guess that given this experience, next time it is possible that if I can divide the learning content into a bit more finer components, and break down the video into shorter segments, so that that will be more in line with first the attention span of the student, and second, also give them more opportunity to continuously review their own understanding about the mastering of the techniques. And both in the classroom with me, helping them, and also out of classroom when they are interacting by themselves with the website. And one final suggestion is, if possible, if we can have some kind of social function, okay, on the website, on the platform, that could promote, I think, more peer-to-peer learning, and the students can help each other more in terms of getting this learning experience more interesting and more effective. I think my own approach is I will try to use flipped classroom again in this same subject, the same parts of the learning content, so that I can develop a deeper understanding of how this flipped classroom actually work in a real learning context. Because I just have one-time experience now, and I think it's not enough. And so I will try to see if it is feasible to incorporate the thing I have mentioned into the same subject, okay, in the coming semester. Major difficulty, other than I have mentioned about the operation and during the process, is about initializing the learning approach to the student, because this different classroom thing is a bit new to them, and it takes time for them to understand why it is needed and why it can help them and how they can make best use of it. So I think this time I just give them a very brief introduction about that, but maybe next time I can spend a bit more time in getting them into the context, so that they will get even more out of this innovative learning approach.